Davika. Apologies for the delay in this. Just had a bit more to do than I thought at the beginning of the week, but I've found some time to put together a short video analysis for you. So the purpose of this video really is just to familiarise myself properly with the site and with the what we spoke about, and really just to show you live a little bit how SEO is done, how we assess things, and hopefully by the end of this video, then we'll have a better idea of where the opportunity sits in terms of the URL that you're looking at, the UK URL. And then we possibly can discuss things further and look at maybe a way forward. So before I do that, I have prepared a 5-minute video which just runs through some of the fundamentals of SEO, and I think it's important to really bring them to the forefront from the outset, as I feel often the fundamentals are overlooked and we can get onto some of the nuances which to be honest, don't make a huge amount of difference. There are some fundamentals that have always been the same in SEO and will remain, and once they're done correctly, then we can be sure that we're doing the 80-20 principle in this, i.e. we're doing the 20% that's going to give us the 80% output. So it's going to cut to that video shortly now, and then we can look into a bit of your metrics, look into a bit of competitor stuff, keywords, and see what it looks like from that point of view. Okay, so it's going to cut to that video, and I'll be straight back with the rest of the presentation. Thanks, Davika. Sorry, I got the pronunciation right. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, so how does SEO work in 2019? Well, it doesn't work very dissimilar from how it's always worked. So we'll just start with the basics. First of all, we need inbound search traffic or volume. Now that means that we need to determine there is enough people looking for a particular phrase which might pertain to your business, and we call that a customer keyword. So in this case, digital transformation has 4,400 searches per month in the UK. Translated another way means a customer with an intent, which we infer from the keyword, ideally an intent to buy, which they type into a search bar with text, which will become important in the next slide. Now, Google can't think, it can only read. A lot of people give Google a lot more credit than it deserves. It's a robot that can put together about 5 or 6 words and get a meaning out of it. So put another way, Google is a relevance-based search engine that can only read text. So, for the purposes of SEO and your website, in other words, if Google can't read it, you're not going to rank for it. Now, where can it read it? It can read it in 2 places. Firstly, what we call on-page SEO, and secondly, off-page SEO. So this diagram here is just demonstrating how Google will determine if a website is relevant for a particular keyword. Excuse me. So in this case, digital transformation company, we can see these 3 phrases here. They have to be written on the page. Also, there needs to be links going to that page that also have these words in. Now, if this wasn't the case, if everyone just did their on-page SEO 100% and everyone was equal, then Google wouldn't know how to determine who is the most relevant website. So once it determines that, say, 10 sites have got really good on-page SEO, it then looks at their off-page SEO, i.e. the sites that are linking to them, and then determines who's got the most relevant association, effectively, or most relevant digital friends, if you want to put it that way. Now, one more thing to highlight here is that in this process, or during this process, this builds up what we call quality scores. So quality scores are determined over time and they build. So when a site starts, it starts with a quality score of 0. So the more better on-page SEO and the links you build up, and then over time, we build up these quality scores. So on-page SEO needs to have relevance and in time quality scores. Links pass on further relevance and quality scores. So effectively, this diagram here is how it works. Now, quite a wordy sentence, but now you've seen that, this may make sense. Quality plus relevant off-page, Quality plus relevant off-page links that correlate with quality plus relevant on-page content equals improved rankings. So that is effectively this diagram here. Now, that is a very simplified way of looking at SEO, but that is the 80-20 principle in this. This is what actually works. All the other stuff is important. It's part of just standard keeping your house in order, and there are lots of other factors which you may have come across and people say this is important. Yes, they are, but this, if you didn't do the rest and you just did this would work. There are other reasons why we do all the other stuff which I won't go into right now. So now breaking that down a bit further, and I won't dwell on these, but to give you an idea, we need to do this process for each keyword. So we've got a keyword here. We're going to repeat this process and work it out for each one. And that looks something like this. So this is a keyword competition. So this digital transformation, we look at all these different quality scores and we work them out and we compare, and then we make your website on par with these, if not better than these. And in that process, as you can see here, this site has these quality scores and this site has these quality scores. And the difference here is 98 positions. And that's the reason, because they've got some of it is to do with their quality scores, some of it's to do with their off-page linking. And we determine the on-page by literally looking at the website and looking at words are used. And you'll recognize these two parts up here. This is what appears in the search engines, and this is what Google's looking at mainly. This is your site title, this part in purple or blue you can see here. The green is the URL, and this is the meta description, which you may have heard about. All of these need to have the right words in order to rank. So you can see here, this guy is not ranking very well. He's got digital transformation once. They've got digital transformation consulting, digital transformation consulting, I can't speak today, in the title too, and digital 3 times. So combined with that, and then plus these off-page links, which are passing on quality scores to the on-page content, then this page ranks. So this guy, Atmosphere over here, is ranking well above these because they have this scenario going on in a very effective way. And ultimately, that is what we do. We look at the intent to buy, high intent to buy phrases, which are your keywords, which is part of the process, which is the knowledge transfer between you and us. We need a resource, which is mainly a website. We do need time in order to do this, because it's a process you do over time. You can't do it overnight, and you can't just blast it in one go, because you can get what's called over-optimized. And then we track, and ideally track the conversion on page and your office activity if that's the case. And then we assess the return on investment. And then we repeat this process all over again for a different key phrase. So that's it. That's SEO in a nutshell in a few minutes. I hope that was helpful. And here's the rest of your presentation. Thanks very much.
Okay, so now you've watched the video, then some of the terms that I'm going to use should make a bit more sense. So what we're going to start with is on-page content. So we spoke on the phone, and you highlighted that this URL here, this worldwide/Kaak-group-UK, is the URL that we're ranking or looking to rank in the UK. I had a brief look at your some of your code here, and I can see that you're utilizing what's called a hreflang with a canonical URL, which is effectively allowing us to have these different language type pages, and it seems you're also geolocating them with the correct ISOs in here, it seems. Anyone I don't see here is GB actually. So we've got, sorry, I'm just taking a closer look now. And the canonical is going to here. So we've got an ENUS, but we should have an ENGB too, really, because this is an ENGB page. It's in English. So we probably should have this really, currently as this stands, just to make you aware actually, because I'm looking at it closer. Yeah, we're short of one. I'm pretty sure we need an ENGB. Okay, well, maybe we should discuss that. And it looks like you're using URL parameters there. We can have a look at that. Okay, so maybe a quick overhaul of that, just to make sure that we are giving Google the correct schema data to categorize this page geographically and linguistically. So looking at the content, I appreciate there are a number of things that we could focus on here, which probably we're not going to be able to cover in the scope of this presentation in terms of the technologies and the machinery that you provide and the services. But I thought what would be maybe a better route is to really just to see how you currently sit and see where the URL is currently ranking and what some of your metrics are from a group point of view, and also from the UK point of view. So looking at your quality scores, so in the video you might remember we focused on or spoke about quality scores. You have a DA of 31, which is domain authority of 31 out of 100, and a PA of 23, which is pretty good, not bad at all. But it depends really on your competitors. We need to see how authoritative they are. I'd imagine there's going to be reasonably high authority in this because there's going to be some established players. But if we take a maybe closer look at that with some more detail, then we can see that you have a trust flow of 12, DO 34. This is for the group homepage, and a PA of 34 for the group homepage. So again, reasonable. Okay, just briefly looking at the group metrics. This is for your off page. So we've jumped around pretty quickly here. I'm going to come back to your on page in a moment. But we've got 318 referring domains, 1.18 million backlinks. So I would say that there is probably quite a good need for a backlink audit, because this discrepancy here is massive. You know, we wouldn't expect to see 1.18 million links based upon 300 websites. So there may be a process we need to go through and audit that and de-index and disavow some links that are just not doing anything for you. I could take a quick look at them, but there's so many there that it would be maybe a bit fruitless at this stage. No, I'll leave that, because it would end up getting too long. What I've also done is just put in your URL for the UK and see what's happening with that. So we've got 2 referring domains going to that. Not that necessarily that's a bad thing. The inner URL will rank off the home page, the true homepage metrics. So we probably would end up having some more links to this page over time, but we would probably link to both. You've got 96 organic keywords at the moment. So we're ranking 28 in the UK, 29 in the US for this page. So that probably stands to reason a little bit. You can see when I said we have EN US in your views in your hreflang here, it's telling Google that this page is EN US. So it's telling it it's a US page, I think, but it's also then, I'd imagine, because you've got UK content and maybe some UK local links, then Google's a bit confused. And that's probably why we've got sort of a relatively equal amount of US and UK rankings. Let's see if you're ranking any. Oh, so it's actually doing this as a first. Let's see if there's any better rankings in the UK than the US. Slightly better in the US, but not enough really to be definitive. So the UK rankings, we can see we've got some relevance here. We've got baking equipment UK position 54, baking equipment for sale UK position 42. Craft supplies, Benio UK 21. Your brand is obviously high. Benio, we mentioned that about that being your previous name or an associative name. Industrial baking oven 61. So we've got some rankings here, but nothing high enough for you to see business from, as you probably know. So let's jump back to your on page. Now I'm just going to click through to some of these. I want to see some of the URL structure as I do this. So I just clicked on, what did I click on? Clicked on R technology and mixing, and that's defaulting then the directory to the main group page, right? So it seems at the moment then, from what I can gather, unless I'm wrong, that we have for the UK just the one URL effectively, which is this to rank. Okay, so I think we would need to have a discussion around, it seems, around the site structure, because at the moment, if we're looking to rank this URL, the other URLs probably do rank in the UK, but our technology pages, do these have different language alternatives? Let's see. Let's just we've opened one up, haven't we? So maybe they do. You've got a Netherlands one. Yes. Okay. But the directory doesn't. Okay, fair enough. So it may be that we can target these with the schema data, the hreflangs, but in terms of this directory here, I can see this doesn't continue, so we don't have a / UK or EN or GB. Okay, so there's definitely probably some chat, because you're an international site, to have just to get clear on what the strategy is and to make sure we're not encroaching upon the other areas of the territories. And I appreciate that it's not necessarily that simple, that, you know, if we're going to implement anything fundamental, it could have quite a big impact on the other areas. So we would obviously look to do that maybe in a more superficial way, i.e. we wouldn't necessarily come in and start changing up your URLs, but I think we're going to need to tidy up on this hreflang and maybe target that way, and then probably we'd do a more in-depth analysis of your ranking URLs for different territories. So what I mean by that is, if we let's take a look at the keyword rankings, and then we can see the different territories. So yeah, 403 in the Netherlands. See, this makes sense again. See, our UK rankings are down here, 116. And I think that's probably because we've got the hreflang one. We've got 399 in the US because we've got the right hreflang in there. But what I wanted to see here was what things are ranking where. So if I go to, and the reason for that is that we may find sometimes that there are URLs that are ranking particularly well in different territories. So we, sorry, I'm not making myself very clear at the moment. I'm just thinking faster than I'm speaking. But ultimately, I think we need to define, especially for the UK, if we have the correct schema in first of all, and then we need to look at the ranking URLs and make sure that we can go forward, not just ranking this UK territory page, but then ranking the inner pages as well for the different products. So I think really, first of all, before even getting into sort of strategy, I would say it would be worthwhile us sitting down and having a chat as to what the scope is to work with the web developers, and what the scope is for change and in using different methods, and I can put some forward. And then to determine what the primary focus is in terms of keywords. I appreciate it's going to be things around bakery equipment and so on. I mean, you're going to be well positioned to rank for that. I think, you know, with a targeted approach, we can definitely improve things. I think first of all, we want to get the structure right. I mean, you're looking nationally at ranking, obviously. Now, you know, our national contracts, to give you some ballpark figures, our national contracts start about $750 a month. Now, they range from 750 to up to 2,000 actually, and that really depends on the scope of the optimization and also the competitiveness. But I would say you're looking at around that as a ballpark figure to give you an idea, and just so you see if this is viable within the budget. But I would say the first month or two of this will be strategy and research, and really just making sure that the house is in order before we push forward with any meaningful optimization. Okay. I think I'll leave it there for now. I appreciate that's not a sort of right through to a full strategy, but I think there's some conversations to be had probably before we can do that, and that in the fact that you have multiple options here, for me to go and assume a way forward for you may not be the best use of time. So I'm happy to have another conversation, and based upon that, can come back to you with a more targeted presentation with some more solid figures and guidelines as to what that resource would need to be. Okay, Davika, thanks very much for watching, and I hope to speak to you soon. Cheers then, bye-bye.